Welcome back to the AI Ripple Effect. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Justin Huang, the founder of J&H Group. Justin, it's really great to have you on the podcast.
Likewise, this is the first time here. I'm honored to be here.
Fantastic. So, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about yourself, your own journey, and then we can take more of a dive into J&H Group, what you do, who your typical customers are, and then we can have some questions around that.
I personally grew up in Taiwan. I left home at 15. I don't know if any of your listeners know much about Asian culture. They don't emphasize individualism or independent thinking much. Just do what you're told, whatever the teacher tells you to do. You just follow the rules, right? And that was against like who I am naturally. And sure, I just couldn't take it. I enrolled in the best high school. I went to the best like local school, and I just couldn't take it. So I had to negotiate with my father for like 2 months to like send me abroad. And usually, when kids are sent abroad to study in the U.S., they are the type that didn't do well locally in Taiwan. So I was like the black sheep, right, of the family. And my father was in construction, so we're fortunate enough that he's able to kind of send me abroad. I went to school, high school, college in the U.S. and Vermont was high school. I started skiing, golfing there, and then I went to college in Boston. Moved to China 2010. I lived there 2010 to 2014. Worked there. The company I was working for, I was the executive assistant, basically the left-hand man for the boss. They were doing like around slightly over like 10 million ARR at the time, and they specialize in doing all the brand merchandise for Volkswagen and Audi in China. So that's when I understood all the supply chain stuff. I was like his translator, dealing with headquarters team from BMW. I was dealing with the design team. I was going to the factory, living there, auditing, learning from the project managers. So that's how I really understood how like the back end supply chain worked. And as we talked about earlier, had a near-death experience, had a heart attack in my early 20s. And just because the lifestyle there was not very healthy, pollution during the early 2010s, it's pretty bad. In supply chain, when in Chinese culture, when you're dealing with factories owner, you have to drink, you have to smoke cigarette, right? And they smoke very, very strong cigarettes. Imagine Marlboro Red, but double the dosage of tar or nicotine. The lifestyle just was not good. And I was doing a 7-Eleven. I wake up at 7, dress up in my suit, go home at 11 o'clock, working like 6 days a week. And that really took a toll on my health. And when that happened, moved back to Taiwan, had the heart surgery. And of course, there's some genetic factors in it, but that really reshaped how I view life, which we can talk about probably some other time offline. And when I moved back to Taiwan, I was like, what we're going to do? And I was doing the same thing because the company I was working for, they're doing large volumes in China. 10,000, 50,000 umbrellas for them is nothing. It's a very normal order. But in Taiwan, it's only a population of like, what, 20 million, 23 million people. And I basically approached Volkswagen, BMW Taiwan and said, hey, we already have the supply chain set up, and this is what we do in China. Why don't we just do a consolidated order together? So let's say Volkswagen Taiwan want 3,000 umbrellas. I can go through my supply chain with my previous boss. We consolidate them, but have the same pricing. That sector is called brand merchandise. We're doing Mercedes-Benz, Volkswagen, BMW, Mercedes-Benz, Taipei 101, which is one of the tallest building in the world. Before we're just doing, we call it swag, right? Promo merch, giveaways, brand merchandise. At the time, I also got into other type of trading stuff. I was the first exclusive importer for organic meal replacement bar called Pro Bar. So in the US, a lot of rock climber, they eat Cliff bars, granola bars. There's only a few that are organics. Cliff Bar is one, and Luna Bar. There's a lot of competitors there, but Pro Bar is one of the premium side. Because of my health issue, I was eating a lot of those. So I just like, oh, might as well just import them. We got into different type of trades. Fast forward in 2015, 16, my thinking was, hey, if I'm already making carbon fiber pens for BMW, why don't I just do my own brand and have friends in the Amazon FBA space? That's how I got into Amazon FBA. And then we kept launching different products and stuff, and we found this product, this product called Fidget Cube that was trending on Kickstarter because kind of online native. We see what keywords are trending, and that term fidget was trending so much on Google Trends. and I stumbled across this subreddit called fidget spinner.
Yeah.
And I came in, and it was like only like 2,000 people in the space. I was like, wow, these people don't know what they're doing. So because they're just basically making it in the garage, making it for like $5, $10. My supply chain background come in, I'm like, yo, this costs like $2 or like 50 cents if you can scale that. So
Yeah.
came in, was the second seller on Amazon, scale that to almost a million, 800, that's almost $800,000 in 6 months with a team of four. We were selling in Amazon EU 5 marketplace and Amazon US. So that was a quite interesting not pivot, but first taste in the consumer space.
Yeah.
But I ended up losing $200,000
Wow.
because of overstock. Right, when you're young, in your 20s, and your ego got to your head, and you think like, oh, you have to control everything vertically. So I own the inventory. I went spent like 50, $60,000 on legal fees, getting the trademark, trying to sue people. But at the end of the day, it's a gag toy. It's not something that's like highly technological.
Listening to that as a customer of yours, actually, probably at the time with I had two sons, and I think we bought about 10 each when we were living in Dubai at the time. And I think it was must have been at the peak of that when it was a massive trend. Yeah.
So if I were to done it earlier, I could have offset that risk because there's a lot of distributors that approached us. But we should, instead of trying to eat the market yourself, you should let people make more money than you. And then once the distributor, so let's say if you're a distributor, you have interest, okay, you can commit on the PO. So you just pay us a deposit so we can lock in the volume with the factories instead of me carrying all the load. Because before I was buying it, holding it, selling it myself because the profit is so good, right? I was landed for at the point we were landed a product under $2, but we're profiting between $10 to $15 per piece. There's
Wow.
no business that's that good, right? But
Yeah.
because you're so early on the trend, this is unheard of in consumer space because in retail space, you'll be happy if you're like netting like what 15-20% margin. And most of my circle who does like 8-figure Amazon business, they probably net like 10 to 15. So I just wasn't aware, right? So yeah. Now fast forward, so that was Amazon. So that kind of took a hit on my business, but I was lucky enough that other project, which was my core, like B2B, merchandising, supply chain management, business, that was able to kind of fill that hole. Yeah. Because that was my first venture to try and touch how to understand how it's B2C. And then I learned about e-commerce. Then COVID hit. Right before COVID, because I was doing trading stuff, and through my network, there's an older gentleman and from Taiwan. He was doing medical supplies in Philippines, and he's like, "Oh wow, you're young, you're motivated. How about you come check it out?" And he said, I'm just talking, but nothing beats for you to come see my operation. He was claiming that the masks made in Taiwan, this is before COVID, by the way. So let's say a mask is like 10 cents to 20 cents. He's able to sell double because his connection in the Philippines government. I was like, okay, I'm going to come see. Book the flight. Boom. I went there like the next week. And I was like, oh, damn. How about I come in and bring my supply chain expertise? And to kind of go back a bit, because before I was managing supply chain everything myself, and to kind of give the listener a bit of a high level understanding of what we do everything from sourcing. People think sourcing and procurement are the same thing. They're not. Sourcing is trying to find the right factory and manufacturer vendors and all that. Procurement is the process of negotiating with them and managing with them, signing the contract, doing all the due diligence and many, many things. The sourcing and procurement, in my opinion, is very different things. Okay.
Mm.
We do everything from sourcing, procurement, manufacturing. We don't own our own factories, but in the past, we have came close to vertically integrate and having shares in the factories. Yes, but we never got into that because we don't want to be in the factory space. We want to manage them, right? So we do manufacturing, we do quality assurance, we have people on site, and sometimes we client or we will have third party agencies to come in and audit them as well. And then we deal with logistics. So we are the true end-to-end supply chain management company. People usually, when they don't understand, they come to us and they think we're agents. They're like, "Hey, how about I pay you a fee? Just go and deal with the factory." We don't do that. A space for that. Or mostly you meet them at trade shows. Say, "Hey, John, do you people down in the south of China? How about I just pay you $2,000 a month? You help me manage my supply chain." We're not like that. Clients buy directly from us. We underwrite the risk. At the end of the day, the space is heavily focused on physical products. We want client wants cheaper products, so price, quality, and time. Are you cheaper? Are you better? Are you faster? Right? So that's what our company provides. Many times, as you understand, as a middleman, your value gets squeezed. So what do we come in? Do we come in with expertise? Do we come in with skill set? Do we come in with price point? Or sometimes we even have to put up a capital because many of our channels are big box or retails or Fortune 500. So these are like, I think I want to kind of demystify a bit. People say, oh, you're just a middleman. Price, cut.
Yeah.
Usually that type of client we don't work with. That means they don't understand what our value is. They don't know what their pain point is. And there's a market to those places. But so far, our client has been excellent, and a lot of them have been with us for a long time.
As that fully integrated supply chain partner that you described, what would you say? You talked about some of those, what the price, the tea and time as being. What are you seeing as the sort of like the three big trends out there right now in terms of how that impacts your business?
It depending on the buyer or the customer type. So I think it's good to cover a bit of who we mostly serve. Yes. So there's three main ICP. And the one that we've seen the most growth, I would say the fastest growth for the past couple of years is people in the e-com space. But e-com space has different types. Are they Amazon sellers? Are they TikTok shop sellers? Are they actually brand owners that they sell on Shopify? Do they have a venture-backed fundings? So there's many things within that category. At least within our space, in the beginning, there's smaller sellers that will want to come to us, say, "Hey, Justin, oh Johnny, I like your red glasses. I want to buy 1,000 of those with some logo." Sure, those we can do. Those type of orders, we're just finding our existing supply chain, which we have thousands of factories. Now we just put a logo on, and then boom, we ship it out. But if there's like, let's say, bigger brands, that's Warby Parker, right? They do 9 figure a year in ARR, have retail location. They'll come to us and say, hey, we want to do everything custom, right? They're not our client. I'm just giving our example because
Yeah,
we are
sure.
in the glass space as well. But they want to come us and do a custom kind of glasses. Then, okay, we have to design from scratch. What is the material? What is the breakdown of material? What is the timeline? Four things that clients a lot of time lack clarity when they approach supply chain. Whether they work with us or not, when you go to a supplier, you want to have a couple of things. Number one is the budget. How much are you willing to pay for your glasses, right? What is your spec? Is what type of polymer, right? There's so many different type of plastic. Is there metal glasses? Yeah, what kind of lens? What is the volume? How many you need? Oh, just give me your MLQ. If I'm the
Mm.
factory, you say that, I know you're not for real. You're just window shopping. I don't
Yeah.
have time to focus that, right?
Do
Fourth
you
is timeline. Yeah.
that's really interesting. Do you have like a template kind of
Yes.
give so to kind of help?
Oh, we do.
Yeah.
Yes. And we're also trying to automate that. It's like a lot of time, smaller clients don't understand this, but they have big follower. Right now, there's a client, she's big on the social media. She's a media background, 200,000 followers across different platforms. She wants to do a cosmetic. I cannot share what product, but she wants to do something cosmetic space, right? She knows nothing about this. Instead of me hopping on a call trying to run her through, I can run her through something more automated and she can fill in the form and then she go through something herself for us to kind of deal with this information better with the supply chain.
And
Yeah.
so, I mean, traditionally it's been about, it sounds like relationships. So
Correct.
you would do that on the phone, you would do it over email perhaps, or is that
Are you
how?
talking about on the client side or the supply chain side?
So, well, I guess both really would be a good one to explore. But
Yeah.
yeah, on firstly on the client side. So when you get when you're in discussions about placing, understanding an order, processing an order, that's all done. That from you have a team
Yes.
who can help you
So
with that.
yeah. So we have sales team and then people filter out leads. A lot of them actually comes from word of mouth or referral. So for reference, our typical average PO that requires customized specs and like a lot of details, our average minimum PO is $30,000. Okay. And we're talking about when we talk about the glasses that needs to buy existing stuff, some deals we take $5,000, $10,000 we take on. It really depends on the project type
Mhm.
because we have limited team. We have office and warehouse in Shanghai, 40 people. Like we can only take on so many clients.
Yeah.
So and the category really varies a lot. Because before I was telling you in Philippines, oh, I got involved in medical supply. What my value add to the team, to the Taiwan uncle who brought me there was, hey, how about I come in and manage the supply chain, and I also deal with the sales of the hospitals in Philippines, and I also co-invest in the inventory. So for him, it's a no-brainer. Then, okay, cool. You're upstanding guy. Okay, you're bringing the capital, you're bringing the expertise, you're bringing the team, you're building the team, managing the team, right?
Mm.
So you always have to ask, like, what is your value to the table? Why would they care to come to you?
I completely agree with that. And what on this kind of supply chain side, what do you see as the main challenges and opportunities in that space?
Yeah, it's a lot. So before I went to the Philippines, you remember I was talking about the fidget spinner thing?
Yeah.
Before that, I personally was dealing with all the factories. I had to fly to China. I had an office in Taiwan. I had to deal with factory owners. And every time I go to China, I just got sick because factories environment, some of them are not the most pleasant to live. And those kind of plastic fumes, like in plastic and toy factories. I went to bicycle. The category we touch is a lot. When the fidget spinner craze hit, I was like, oh, I cannot do this anymore. So I had to get a partner on. And my current partner has been with me almost 10 years now. She's like my sister, Helen. She's in charge of the China office. Okay. She was actually the VP of the previous company where I first worked for after I got out of school. Yeah.
Right.
So that's how we've been growing. And that was another very good understanding is like growing up in Taiwan, we were taught to own everything yourself. But now I work less, but I made more money, which is very counterintuitive to my upbringing. Yeah. And to answer what you're saying, what we're seeing, the trends and opportunities, I feel like the space, when Alibaba came to the space, a lot of people just want to compare us with Alibaba, which is fine, but they fail to understand what the platform represents. It's a place to have a first contact with the factory, but it doesn't really mitigate your risk of doing the supply chain. Yes, a lot of vendors or accounts on Alibaba are actually not factories. They are trading companies. They are wholesalers. Like you don't know what is the reality. Even me speaking, grew up in Taiwan and having teams and knowing China, living in China, sometimes we get scammed, right? It has happened before. Like, what is the ground truth? Because at the end of the day, if you're making physical stuff without seeing it in person, it is hard to gauge what is true and what is not. Because
Mm.
I can tell you, hey, John, come to see my factory. Is it my factory or is my cousin's factory or is it my friend's factory that they let me use? This happens all the time. On top of it, imagine if you don't speak the language. You're like, oh, wow, cool. Let's put a banner, like communist China, they like to put a banner and be, hey, welcome, John, to visit we can do like a grand ceremony. We know how to do that stuff. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, the factory can be magnificent and huge, but do very bad order to you because you're 1% of their order. You're probably 0.01% of the order. So you have to know how do you find the right match and fit. That's why we come in. Because when Johnny comes to me, even you're making one glasses, I probably have 10 supply chain, supplier, and factories behind my back. And that is the network and relationship I built over the time. I've been in this space over a decade, 15 years to be exact,
And
for me
I guess
personally.
that trust in you is what, helps grow your business, right?
Correct, correct.
You're
And we have
minimizing the risk.
Yeah, and we have run into deals that went south and we have to come in and cover the whole bill. That
Wow.
happens
Yeah.
all the time. There's a PO that was like $330,000 in COVID trying to do mask and it got in lawsuit. That was my first lawsuit, right? The
Mm.
vendor screwed us because the vendor didn't have the mask. I have to cough it up and we have to send it back to the client. So how did that happen? Because this space is about trust. At least I personally believe in it. It's like my word is my bond, and I'm in this space for long term. Like life is long. It's a marathon, right? It's not a sprint. So I don't have to, let's say, hey, I know how Johnny is. I know how he works. And there's no, let's say, I don't need to second guess what his character is.
That's quite an interesting point to sort of bring in AI because I guess that's
Yes.
becoming part of that the proof side of things. You hear about the photography AI
Yes.
being used to look at the kind of product. journey, understand how it's been shipped, the product quality, and all of that. But what's your experience with AI, and how are you seeing that being
We're
used
using a
by?
lot. Yeah, we're using quite a lot now. So first, I would say between the client facing side, a lot of times when they don't have clarity, because our team, there's only two people that speaks English, right? And they mostly deal with factories on a day-to-day basis, following orders, like dealing with the engineers, changing specs, working on new developments and stuff. Like they need very, very clear directions and basically a sheet on what the project is about. When you tell them that, hey, just go find me glasses, that might as well be no request at all. Because what type of glasses? Is it sunglasses? Is it like, you understand? So
Yeah.
AI will come in the beginning to filter out a lot of noise from the market side.
Mm,
And they have to go back and forth, back and forth. And once it's prone, qualified to a point, it's like ready to go, then I'm open to hop on a call. If the deal size is reasonable, that
mm,
I'll run through and say, okay, this is how we work. This is how it is. Otherwise, a lot of the deal inbound actually just go through AI. And we have referral partners too. So let's say if Johnny knows people, you're in the SaaS space, but your client probably has a bunch of companies that need physical products. We'll go through Johnny's form, or you can pass it through, and it will filter out the information and spits it out. Sometimes can spit, depending if we want to spit it out in Chinese, and then
mm.
boom, I send it to the China team. The China team will work on it. But then the China team will have a lot of my supply chain team. I just call my supply chain team in China. A lot of time they'll have questions, and how do I become that mediator? And before it took a lot of manual process, but now and 30-minute email takes me 5 minutes or 3 minutes less
Yeah.
to do and increase the productivity by a ton. And do note our supply chain is more than in China. Now we have supply chain in Vietnam, Thailand. Obviously, Taiwan is where I'm from. China is our biggest steel powerhouse. I would say 90%, 85%, 90%. We have supply chain in Guatemala, Mexico, Honduras, and also Colombia.
Wow. Truly global then. I mean, that's and how, I mean, you're obviously sort of embracing AI and that kind of that transition between traditional ways of doing business and technology. How are your clients reacting to that and engaging with that?
It's quite interesting. Like for us, like we're actually, I don't think our job or our industry will not be replaced by AI because we're dealing with physical products. This earbud you're seeing, this camera we're talking to,
Mm.
this hat, like it's still a lot of manual stuff. What
Yeah.
we're seeing, at least on the manufacturing side, is the AI is increasing the speed of innovation and robotics. They're trying to automate a lot of production side of things, but you still need to make stuff. That's the thing. I guess I'm fortunate that it will be AI proof, but like I'm still paranoid. Like, what if something happens that there's no need for a middleman because the AI will just do multi-language translation. The vendors and the client can just talk seamlessly, which is also happening,
Mm.
right? We
Yeah,
sometimes have three language meetings and Gemini and Google Meet that you can just translate simultaneously with the live captions, right? So
absolutely. No, very much. I mean, it sounds like it's sort of a complementary tool that you're using
for
it.
us, yes,
And clearly, as a successful businessman and entrepreneur, it's about growth, which I guess
yes.
I'd love to hear about your own growth story, and J&H. What's been behind that? What have been the milestones? Any particular moments that have really catalyzed that?
I would say because tradition going back a bit earlier when we are talking about the customer types, I only cover about the e-commerce sector. The main bulk of our business actually comes from importer distributors and just traditional, let's say, corporate buyers and marketing agencies. So, for example, for the marketing agencies, we don't work with Bloomberg.
Mm,
Bloomberg has 20,000 employees worldwide. They need merchandise and swags for their employees, right? They need 2,000 pens in Japan, 5,000 jackets in Germany, and all that stuff. We coordinate all that. So that's one bulk of our business, right? We do corporate merch, promotional items, and we just call brand merchandise. That's a segment. Marketing agencies, corporate buyers. Okay.
yeah,
And another big bulk, we do container load trading. Okay. What that means is traditional importer and distributor from Guatemala. We sell to them. They're the largest supermarket chain there. We have to do container loads of plastic glove. We do film, food wrap films. We do shopping carts. We're moving forklift to them, right? So it's different ICPs, like ideal customer profile.
Mm.
But at its core, what do they need? They need products. Whether it's furniture, well, I'm currently in Colombia right now, right? And we're looking at a project here. It's their construction company. They need construction materials. They need furnitures. They need paints. They need tiles. So it's quite wide ranging. So so that's why I also understand when clients approach us, it's a bit difficult to understand what we do. But right now this year we're focusing me are being more open and public about what we do, so we're seeing a lot of inquiry coming on from the e-com space. So I'm thinking under J&H perhaps we should do a spin-off to do a division, of course it's branded differently, that we just solely serve the e-com space client, because now we're capable to do end-to-end distribution now. So a lot of our clients will make their stuff, put it into the China 3PL, just like Temu and Shein when you buy it online or buy it on AliExpress. That's how it's done. The stuff is made in China and they put it into the China warehouse and they send it by parcel worldwide. So
Mm.
we're capable of doing that now.
Well, I mean, that was actually my next question was going to be what's your kind of growth agenda in the next 12 months, and clearly that's you've thought about that very much.
We're also co-investing in some brands too. So let's say if some of your listeners have eyeballs, attention, and distributions, we're open to come in as a supply chain partner to deal with all the back end. So just for this month, we're about to launch two brands. One is the baseball niche, and one is in the textile niche. I cannot go too much into details, but basically we power the supply chain, right? We do the everything I talk about: sourcing, procurement, manufacturing, quality assurance to logistics. And our partner, they deal with the front end, branding, website, paid ads, organic, UGC, influencer. They deal with all that.
Mm.
Because my background, like we haven't got too deep in it, is quite diverse. So I also have friends in the nomad space. They run that stuff. But mine has always been in physical products. And I really like doing making stuff.
Yeah.
So, and now we're vertically investing too.
And clearly, I think you talked about your curiosity on your profile, and your passion is clearly coming through on
Yeah.
that. If Justin, if with the benefit of hindsight, if you had a time machine, what would you do differently if you went back to the, say, 12 months ago?
I would say probably kind of stick with one niche, because what's been an issue for our team and company is like there's all kinds of inquiry that comes in and we're all capable of doing so. So it's hard to say no when the money just sitting there. So if I was at 12 months ago, I'm not the type that lives in regret, and I don't believe in that because I think everything has a reason and only makes sense looking back when you connect the dots.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like when I'm doing all this kind of random stuff, importing bars. I even invested in a burger restaurant in Mexico City. We have a logistics operation in Mexico. It just, a lot of things doesn't seem to make sense. But now looking back, it all makes sense because
Yeah.
one thing led to another. I was like, okay, that's how I got here. But if it was to 12, let's say a year ago, I would say like, okay, let's pick one niche, whether it's supplement or cosmetic, and then I will find a partner that's very familiar with the like native ads, organic content type of thing, and we just stick with that. We invest in that project, we nurture it, and we stick with that. Which we're doing it now, but I feel like it's not late. But I wish we were done it earlier.
It sounds like
Yeah,
your very own positive ripple effect in
yeah.
action. So look, this is super interesting, informative. I get our readers again and listeners and watchers are going to take a lot from this, but I think we'll kind of cap it there for now. My appetite to hear more about your own personal story and your
Yes.
company story is whetted, and I think a lot of our listeners will be the same. So for the folks out there who want to get in touch with you, JH Group, where should they go? What's the best way of getting you?
Look me up, Justin from Taiwan. I'm pretty active on X. So yeah, I'm starting to be more public about it, and I'm moving back to Asia. Well, not moving back. I'm relocating to Asia starting in Q4. But I fly between Latin America and Asia. So if people want to connect, just find me, Justin from Taiwan, across all social.
Justin, thanks so
From
much.
Taiwan.
It's been
Yes.
a
Likewise.
pleasure to have you on today. It's been great. So thanks to all our viewers out there. Make sure you tune in to the next edition of the AI Ripple Effect. Thank you.